they will be surprised, number one, where it's coming from. And it happened 3 weeks ago, something remarkable, you know, at the 69th ECOWAS summit in Freetown in Sierra Leone. But the man at the center of everything is President Mamady Doumbouya of Guinea. And what he said, a lot of ECOWAS leaders have now turned it into a debate. They are saying, is this a former military head of state supporting military men? Or is he just saying the fact that ECOWAS modus of operation is expired in 2026 and it cannot meet the test of time? So, based on the things that Mamady Doumbouya said and the context around the historical record of ECOWAS, is going to prove if Mamady Doumbouya really, really checked ECOWAS right there, or if he's only playing kabuki theater. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, before I start this, I'm going to be giving a lot of credit to President Mamady Doumbouya for what he said here. So, Doumbouya stood before this head of states in Freetown and he delivered what might be the most honest speech that the chamber of ECOWAS have had in years. And I want to break it down today because what he said and how he said it tells you everything about where the ECOWAS bloc is headed. Now, let me give you the context. Former Colonel Mamady Doumbouya, the man who took power in Guinea in 2021, walked into that summit and he greeted the recognized sitting chairman of ECOWAS. They exchanged pleasantries and immediately they gave him the opportunity to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, everywhere went quiet. I have to tell you that he said it in France, and when you check the transcripts, it's terrible for the interest of ECOWAS. First, Doumbouya said that he has experienced sanctions firsthand. And he said Guinea was sanctioned by ECOWAS after the 2021 transition. And here is what he told Diram. And he said sanctions are not the solution. He said sanctions are old and outdated. He said they have never worked and they are not working right now. He said they hit first and above all, who they hit? Children, women in the market, men in the field, workshops, citizens who want to do business, depriving hospitals of essential medicines. But when you see the way ECOWAS have been plastering sanctions all over the place, you just know that they are following the blueprint of their leaders, who is the European Union. There is nothing, there is no single relevance the European Union carry right now other than plastering people with sanctions. And when you sanction people to a certain level, the only thing, sanction is supposed to be a sort of high speed chess leverage. Sanctions should come with time. It shouldn't be the first approach because that is your trump card. So when you sanction people and what you expect is an ultimate collapse, if they stand and they don't collapse, then you as an organization, you're already useless. And this is what Mamady Doumbouya told ECOWAS. Mamady Doumbouya said something. He said, this is the argument that the AES have been making for years, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. They have all said the same thing. Sanctions punish ordinary citizens and not governments. And Doumbouya said it to the sitting leaders in ECOWAS, saying it to their faces that the leaders who impose this sanction, they don't get to benefit anything from this sanction that they are putting on other states other than make, destroy the fraternity, the brotherhood between African states. So you need a certain kind of courage to, sit in the midst of some old African leaders who are only following the direct blueprint of what certain people give to them. They cannot think for themselves. They cannot do anything on their own if they don't get approval from certain places. So Mamady Doumbouya is saying that things are not done this way again. Now, I want you to understand that ECOWAS and African Union, they are still the AES is still under their sanction. And with all the pressure and economic sanction, nothing has changed. So they are trying to have a dialogue with the AES. Now, what is the card that ECOWAS have right now? They said we want to have a dialogue with the AES to come back to ECOWAS so that all these economic sanctions can be lifted. You see, you cannot even talk about economic sanction when you don't have economic sovereignty. If you talk about a country like Nigeria, the oil does not belong to Nigeria. I just want you to know that today. The oil of Nigeria does not belong to Nigeria. See, when I look at most people and I look at their arguments, and Nigeria is the pinnacle of ECOWAS, right? So for me, I don't see the essence of the sanction. I don't see why the AES should even tolerate any conversation about ECOWAS in the first place. So the AES is doing fine on their own. They have control over their resources. They can decide who they partner with. Certain people are not telling them that if you buy our equipment, you cannot use it in certain place. You don't make partnership with this person. No, they decide what they want, who they want to deal with. And ladies and gentlemen, when Mamady Doumbouya made this speech, Mamady Doumbouya did not wait. Immediately he spoke, and the leaders were looking at themselves, they were very quiet. And that was one thing that surprised a lot of people. He told the summit that many seem to have forgotten, and this is the critical point, that on May 28th, 1975, in Lagos, Nigeria, he said there were 15 founding fathers of ECOWAS who created this community called Economic Community of West African States. Now, listen, 15 founding fathers, and 10 of those entities that created ECOWAS were military personnel. 10. And 5 civilians. Therefore, the overwhelming majority of the founding fathers of ECOWAS, they came from the military, not from the civilian rule. Just 5 out of 15, 10. And that was when West Africa was still reasonable. So 10 out of 15 who created ECOWAS, they were on military uniform. And Doumbouya said that, this is the reality on the ground, that we cannot continue to try to remove the military when it comes to conversation of governance. The military is a part of us. These are part of the things he said. He said their uniform should not therefore be be should I their uniform should not be seen as a factor to exclude them from governance. So if a lot of people are going to say Captain Ibrahim Traore is a man with a gun, is a man with a uniform, he shouldn't rule, how many of the civilian head of states have been able to think the way Captain Ibrahim Traore is thinking? How many of them are as intelligent as he is? Ladies and gentlemen, I have not seen any. You can present if you see. Now, I'm going to say this. There are certain leaders too in the democratic construct. They speak a lot of English, they make bold speech, but ladies and gentlemen, it's all talk and nothing. I'm not talking about the president of Ghana. I'm talking about certain president down south of Africa, not Cyril Ramaphosa, all right? Say a lot of things, but no action. So, if 15 of the founding fathers turn out to be military, this conversation that military should not do this and that, I think at this point, that argument is out of the window. Because here is what is really saying. ECOWAS was not founded by civilians. Because all this, like all the likes of Tinubu and the rest now, they want to make it look like, oh, it's only civilians that can, be a part of ECOWAS, only civilians should rule. No, 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 no. So to me, Doumbouya is saying it the way it is. And we have been saying this for many years. The military personnel and the civilians, they were both born in the same country. But one person had enough cojones to take extra step to bleed and defend the interest of the country. And there is another individual who, all through his life, everything he has done was for his personal benefit. Most civilians, this is what they do. There is a man that takes bullets in the bush just so that the people at home can live. And there is another one that if he sells something to you, he probably will inflate the price. So there is a gap between how both entities operate. This is why Captain Ibrahim Traore takes all the Burkinabe as one. But a civilian, you can take this argument to the bank. You will hardly find a very honest civilian that is, in government. They can't last. They will always do things, buy properties outside the country and do a lot of things. And it is because of those corrupt practices that is why you will see certain people who say, oh no, say no to military rule. Let me tell you one story here. When President General Sani Abacha, one of the best Nigerian leaders, when he was in power, do you know that certain politicians that are ruling Nigeria today, they ran away from Nigeria? According to President Tinubu himself, he said he left Nigeria with £2. He said he left Nigeria with £2,000. A jean, a pair of slipper, and probably a shirt. They all ran away. But now look at today. Everybody complains about the way they operate is different. If you look at some of the villages, the last time they had a government sponsored developmental project was during the military regime of Nigeria. I'm talking about the deepest part where people don't even go again today. People have forgotten the last time those places were remembered was during the military regime. These guys, how they noticed that some people here, this is what they do, and we need to build a factory for them. Like they were building factories all around the country. Look at today. What these guys do is facade. What can a lot of people see? Now, there's this lie that people used to tell. Okay. Oh, Lagos GDP is so high. Lagos is this, Lagos is that. Don't let anybody fool you. If you move from, what is this place called? If you move from Surulere, you move to Ikeja, just look at the side of the road. You will see a lot of people sleeping there. Is that the sign of a country that is functioning? Is that a sign of, you see, this old GDP lying conversation is very, very funny. It is, how does this governance affect the life of the common citizen? Not we produce the highest GDP. GDP where? So, and most of the people watching me, if you are not into fraud, you know definitely that this all lies does not affect people. It does not affect the citizens of the country. Normally, if all things are to be equal, this place will be a crime hole. So the last time We had honest people. Was during the military regime. So, and these civilian governments, right? They have a way of working on the template of capitalism. And capitalism destroys the strength of a country. It makes a country useless. Now, let me give you an example of capitalism. Somebody like Dangote now, right? You'll be like, oh, Nigeria does not have refinery. Dangote has a refinery. That's capitalism. When he sleeps, fuel sleeps. Worry, Nigeria has so many refineries, it's not functioning. Do you know why it's not functioning? Because certain people don't want it to function. And that is not even within the country. But those people have assets within the country that make sure that Nigeria can only export crude and buy refined materials from outside. This is how it's supposed to be. And the only way they can allow a nation to progress is if capitalists emerge. Now, capitalists destroy a society. Any society, they destroy it. They make people look at other people as inferior. Go to most countries where they practice this thing. Certain group of people worship certain group of people, and it's dangerous. I was at a filling station this evening, and there was a woman that came in and was dragging the hair of the attendant because the attendant was attending to someone else and did not look in her direction. But because she felt she had money, she dragged the hair of another married woman. So when I saw the chaos and I got there, I was like, I saw the manager, the whole place was chaos. And I told my friend, let's step in. And I was like, everybody, just calm down. Just take it easy. But when I heard what she did, man, she had to run away from that place. I hate oppression to the head of me. She ran away. And the only reason why this thing happened is because of capitalism. Because there are certain people that are seen in a certain way, they see them as powerful because they have money, so they can step on other people. It happens a lot in Nigeria. There are certain people that will tell lies. Oh, we know so politicians, so nothing is going to happen. And that's how it's going to be. So, ladies and gents, if you look at America now, almost everything is capitalism. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, all of those companies are owned by certain individuals. I don't know if America has an engineering military arm. And a lot of people will not see these flaws until a proper contest starts. And that flaw we saw in Iran. Because come to think of it, you said you spent how much when the war started? And now you are asking for more money. It goes back to one question, right? A country like America, with their defense budget, they should have the largest munition in the world of any caliber, standoff weapon, whatever they should have. But the design of your society, if it is capitalist, you will fail. You won't be able to go for a longer contest. And that is why America has not been able to do anything that is significant in the Middle East. And that is how it's going to be because it's a capitalist society. So when they ask from Congress that they need certain money, it's certain, military warmongers, military industrial complex that, sponsor certain politicians that are waiting to benefit from the money. If you look at the Iranian side, they have the IRGC engineering department, who are really, really marching on with every step of the way. So it's always very, very different. Now, Mamady Doumbouya is telling the ECOWAS leader that ECOWAS was not founded by civilians who then reluctantly allowed soldiers to participate. ECOWAS was built by military leaders. Military governance is in the DNA of ECOWAS. So he's telling them that the current doctrine, the automatic suspension, the automatic sanctions, the automatic condemnation, whenever a soldier becomes head of state, that is not the ECOWAS of 1975. That is a departure, right? And again, notice the alignment. This is precisely what the AES have been arguing. They are not saying military rule is the right blueprint. They are saying do not pretend that ECOWAS was born in a civilian cradle. No. When it was born, Doumbouya, it was born with 10. 15 countries came together and 10 were military leaders. So Doumbouya is making that argument from within the system, not from outside. Now, Doumbouya told the summit that ECOWAS need to reform its founding texts. His exact word was, our founding texts are more than half a century old. The world they describe is no longer quite the one we live in. Reforming our institution is not to weaken them, it is to enshrine them in the long term. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a man calling for the destruction of ECOWAS. This is a man calling for a restructuring of ECOWAS. He is saying the institution is old. Their methodologies are outdated. The world has changed. And if we do not adapt, we will fade away. You see, this is statesmanship at the highest level. And if you look at what ECOWAS is right now in West Africa, is now the laughing stock of the entire African continent. When people talk about ECOWAS now, everybody be like, oh man, a very useless organization. People don't even care. We don't even know if that organization exists again. All right. So, all right. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, they bombed out of ECOWAS. Right. What has happened? Did they collapse? Have those states ceased to exist? Did those states not exist before ECOWAS? So, in the name of solidarity and unity, people shouldn't overstep their boundaries. Because I hear this thing, oh, for solidarity, for support. People should not overstep their boundaries, especially the chairman of African Union. If you don't speak for us, don't speak at all. If you don't speak for us, you should not speak because you don't represent us. And when I look at him, I don't see a West African in that individual. I see a criminal in a suit who is inferior to certain race, who wants to feel among. So when he speaks, I see a slave talking. I don't see a man that has enough courage to speak and who lacks the mental, you know, the the mental nutrients to talk about issue of geopolitics, and he doesn't even have anything to tell the AES states. And if you look at the number of years, the people that are sitting in the African Union or in ECOWAS or whatsoever, these are people that are almost practicing democratic coup d'etat. If you go to Rwanda, you have Paul Kagame. Like Paul Kagame has been one of the biggest, you know, should I say, poster boys of the African Union. Paul Kagame. And look at how long he have ruled. He's a good man, no doubt about it. You know, he's a very, very strong man. But man, those people have no moral justification, right, to speak when we are talking about issues of integrity. Now, Mamady Doumbouya stepped to ECOWAS and he made a statement. And I think we need to be very honest about his speech. It did not stay for too long. The narrative has been there. It is an irreconcilable divide. The AES is on one side, ECOWAS is on the other side. And these two sides, I don't think they can ever meet to become one body. One side will have to migrate to the other side. That is it. So these contests of two different blocks is what the Europeans hate about the AES. Ruto is a, oh man, don't talk about Ruto. Ruto is a joke. Have you seen the G, is it G7 or G, so whatever summit they say they have? You've seen Ruto on suit with his wife? Man, don't talk about Ruto. Ruto is not part of the people that we should be talking about. That's the worst puppet in Africa. So now, for me, Mamady Doumbouya immediately made this statement. According to information, a lot of people, they clapped their hands. Some people were grumbling. And immediately, Mamady Doumbouya stepped out of the, he stepped out of the ECOWAS summit. And a lot of people have been asking, why did he leave so quick? Did he come to attend the meeting just to embarrass them or whatsoever, that he made the statement? He did not even wait. What I think is that Mamady Doumbouya is a man that, if you look at that guy, look at Mamady Doumbouya, what does he look like? A coward? That guy to me does not look like a coward. He said what he said. Don't forget that, first of all, he's a military personnel. Yeah, he's a military personnel before he became, through pressure and everything, became a civilian head of state and stuff like that. Mamady Doumbouya will confront anybody and will say what he needs to say. And this is why people don't like Mamady Doumbouya. Even in ECOWAS right now, they won't like him, because some of these people in ECOWAS, most of them right now, they are civilians. So when they are talking to a military personnel, the level of adrenaline is different. I think Julius Madabio, should be something close to that, but he's one of the most deceitful ECOWAS chairman that we've ever had. Then, if you look at the president of, is it Gabon? I think there's another military leader that we have. You can see the way he addressed the European Union, that they should not, for any reason, disrespect the struggles of the Alliance of Sahel. If the AES succeeds, it means that Africa will have the first independent bloc, a bloc that will have no type of, should I say, they will have no allegiance to anybody. It will be the first independent African bloc, not subservient to East, not subservient to the West. And look at Burkina Faso today. Have you seen the Ouaga Mall? Have you seen the pace at which Burkina Faso is moving? Very, very fast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if in the future, Guinea, Senegal would be up for the AES, which will be a very, very strong collaboration. We know that Chad is out of the window, because France have just brought in their military personnel, their military equipment, intelligence officers. They are back to Chad. And like I said, you don't need multiple French personnel to plan terrorist attack or to cause chaos. You only need a few numbers. So I don't really see Chad as a serious state. You might not like the movement of Mamady Doumbouya. You might have your personal reason. But one thing I like about him is that when he says this is it, That is it. I don't know. I can't really explain how he moves, but he does not move like a complete puppet. Yeah, he has, Now, don't forget something. Mamady Doumbouya was not resident in Guinea. He was outside Guinea before he came to rule Guinea. So if you see him traveling here and there, that was his life before he came to rule Guinea. So you might not like his moves, but when it comes to being straightforward, I think Mamady Doumbouya is very, very straightforward. So, ladies and gentlemen, he has his wife from France. His families are in the United States. They have been there before he became the Guinean head of state. It's like somebody from Nigeria in diaspora. Let's say in UK, your parent gave birth to you and you live all your life there, right? And you suddenly come to Nigeria to contest for an election and you win. Then from time to time, you travel to the UK to, probably go and see your family and all of that. And somebody be like, oh, you're a puppet because you are going to the UK. I don't really think the contest is too fair. So Mamady Doumbouya had a life before he became the Guinean leader. So I don't really think now because he is the leader, he should, discard the life he had before he became the president of Guinea. He was living a good life. He was sophisticated before he became the president of Guinea. Have you seen Mamady Doumbouya before he became president? He was a Thanos. He had money. So just that a lot of people are saying that, when he took power, American soldiers were on the ground and all of that, regardless of what you think about Mamady Doumbouya, the Guinean territory was not used as a launch pad against the AES territory. Military weapons that came from the port of Conakry was never ever ambushed from Guinea to Mali. Never, not once. So for me, Mamady Doumbouya is moving in a very smart way. He doesn't want to offend this side, he doesn't want to offend this side, but he's standing on business. Now, a lot of people might not like him. That is their own personal sentiment. So kindly tell us what you think about this speech from Mamady Doumbouya. How many people within ECOWAS would be confident enough to stand up to President Tinubu and the rest? I know that Bashiru Diomaye is not on the level of Mamady Doumbouya. Let's be honest with ourselves. Bashiru of Senegal is not close to Doumbouya. Like it's like, man, is don't even let me use the language I'm about to use. Bashiru is not close. So the ECOWAS is a joke. So that's why Mamady Doumbouya looked at them and he said his piece and immediately left. Now I don't know why. I don't know why he traveled. I don't know why he traveled out of the country. I wish him the best of luck. And when he left, the second man to him came to power, and that is Amara Kamara, right? And I just feel like he is not liked for whatever reason. Different speculation is coming out. Is this? Is that? Is this? Is that? We don't know. Is there a fact? Is there a verifiable fact that he has any terminal infection? No, you don't. I don't. There are no verifiable proof out there that he does. So I just think everybody should, because multiple times this conversation around, oh, Doumbouya is this, is that, and he emerges again. better, stronger, right? He plays basketball with his family, like he does his thing. And he got escorted to the airport and he traveled. Yeah, the military can, if you took power through the gun and you have to leave the country, the military have to let you know that they are not going to move in a direction that is not proper. Maybe that was how the military had to come out and be like, no, we are pledging our allegiance to you. This is what I think, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed the breakdown, kindly do well to help us hit the like, share, and subscribe button, man. In Burkina Faso, a terrorist kid have just been captured. He has been rehabilitated. Um, he is now thanking the people, the government of Burkina Faso, for giving him a second chance to life. According to the report, you can find it on our Telegram channel. He was a header, and some of his bigger homies introduced what he called jihad to him. He said it told him that if he does jihad, now this is where I don't agree with these people, that he's going to make it to paradise. Man, this is part of what we talked about yesterday, that all of these things are fake, it does not exist, right? So now, when he got to the bush and he abandoned his main occupation, which was cattle herding, they placed him in charge of stolen livestock. So even if he believes in paradise or whatsoever, you are already in charge of stolen livestock. There is nothing decent about what the first footing is bad already. According to information, they were overrun by the Burkinabe, Rapid Intervention Brigade, and he was captured. Very handsome kid. When I when I saw the video, I was like, bro, if you had got yourself knocked out with probably an AA, I would have, like, I won't be happy at all. Like, just go get a good life and forget all this rubbish. And I'm so happy he got saved. How maybe he surrendered or something, and I hope he does not go back to either herding or terrorism again. He should go and get a better life. Very good kid, very good looking kid. Because I've seen some of these JNIM guys, they look extremely ugly. So, but this particular one, it looks like a Burkinabe. It looks like, when you see certain people, I'll be like, oh, you look like, yeah. So for me, I really, really love what Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing. And I really appreciate Mamady Doumbouya for standing with the Alliance of Sahel States. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and God bless you. I'm back now.